E ragazzi, bentornati sul nostro canale YouTube. Siamo arrivati quasi alla fine di questo viaggio, però ci sono ancora 3 video fantastici e quello che vi stiamo per presentare è stato fatto con Tristan, una persona per me incredibile. Non vedo l'ora di poterlo incontrare almeno ancora una volta nella mia vita, perché è una persona molto saggia che mi ha dato tantissime informazioni sulle piante tropicali. Mi ha spiegato anche la potatura, che per me era un po' un problema, perché non ero sicuro se doverla fare, non fare, come trattare le piante, se soffrivano o se non soffrivano. Ha una conoscenza incredibile delle piante aromatiche e anche delle piante che crescono nell'orto, perché è anche cuoco e vi assicuro che abbiamo mangiato veramente veramente bene. Il suo inglese è stato veramente incredibile, alcune volte avevo qualche momento di difficoltà, però abbiamo passato una mattinata incredibile insieme. E la cosa bella è che quando incontri delle persone che sono sensibili come lui, o come Paul, la sua famiglia, e tutte queste persone che comunque condividono con me una certa passione o hanno una certa idea di come vorrebbe passare la propria vita, ti dà uno stimolo incredibile e vorresti che il tempo si fermasse, poter rimanere lì più a lungo per poter imparare, assorbire tutte le loro conoscenze. Non vedo l'ora di tornare con Beethoven in Nuova Zelanda, perché è stata un'esperienza che mi ha non cambiata, ma mi ha sicuramente segnato e mi è servito a capire che quello che io voglio, quello che io penso è la strada giusta e che il futuro sarà fatto di più persone come me. Quindi vi consiglio di non buttarvi giù di morale se le cose non vanno come pensate, non solo a livello agricolo ma anche a livello personale, perché bisogna sempre trovare una soluzione al problema. Buona visione, ciao!
Ciao guys, today we are here with Tristan. We are very lucky. I feel very lucky to be here actually. I cannot be more than happy. And he's just started to show us around a little bit. What's the name of this plant again?
Miyoga.
Miyoga.
Yeah, it's a little delicacy for stir fries and miso soup and things like that. Yeah, creates
so
a
you
little
also
flower underneath.
And you use the roots, or you use the stem, or you use the flower?
The flower.
The
yeah,
flower.
It comes up out of the ground. This little flower. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's nice.
And you
It's
can
very
also
tasty.
Really? And only once a year or many more?
Oh, it's seasonal. Yeah, so once a year. It should start soon.
Wow.
We'll get lots of little flowers coming up down here. We'll see if there's any happening.
And how do you find these plants? You find them
I got given them. Yeah.
from someone?
Yeah, someone from Mochwaka. We've got lots of different kinds of basil, and there's ginger and turmeric, rosemary, Thai basil.
How many varieties do you think you have here?
Of plants?
Of anything that you have planted?
Oh, it'd be 100
Probably.
at least, and just in this little garden. Easily. There's 4 different kinds of mint, and lemon balm, and pineapple sage, and yeah, there's heaps of different kinds of stuff.
I can imagine now. Can you play with this in the kitchen also?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
And
That's
also,
the main
you are
thing.
the chef, so we have an awesome dinner last night. This is also an amazing chef. He knows what he's doing. How do you call this in English? Because I know that it's called. We have a pear and apple in Italy.
This one's called quince.
Quince, and we make gelatin because it's full of pectins.
It is.
So you
It's
make
beautiful.
jellies and
Yeah, chutneys and pate.
yeah.
And I make take all the excess liquid off the top when start first cooking it, and it's sugar and quince water, so it becomes a syrup, and then you add a wee bit of water and put it in the bottle and leave it in the fridge, and it goes all bubbly. And
So you make it fermented.
It's really nice.
Wow,
I've got some, you can try it.
it will be cool.
It's nice on a hot day with soda water and ice.
It's like a natural syrup.
Yeah, it is. It turns into a syrup, but it's bubbly. It's like,
Wow.
you know, it's very,
You
very
see how many
nice.
things we can learn? Many.
There's a coconut, bananas, ginkgo, good for your brain. There's go-to
Ginkgo?
cola here. That's really good for your brain too.
This is
Go-to cola.
go to cola.
Yeah, which is the
No
same
worries.
as like ginkgo.
Okay.
Ginkgo biloba. Yeah, really good for your mind, for your brain. There's a couple of different kinds of chives.
So
We've got real licorice and real aniseed
this
and
is what? Anice?
horseradish. Aniseed?
Can you show me horseradish and
Yes,
licorice?
come and have a look. The
never
licorice,
seen
the
before.
licorice is a vine, so we'll go to that first. You take the root from the plant under the ground. So this one here is aniseed, the real one, and the licorice root, the vine,
Yeah, it smells like licorice.
is in here,
So,
if we can find it.
so these are two different plants.
This one here is aniseed. If you
So it's anice. Mama, annusa?
smell.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have it. I plant it, and but you let it grow or you cut during the year?
We let this grow and we cut it. This is seeding. It came in a small container 2 years ago. It wasn't very big, and I
Now it's
put it
growing.
in here, and now we're getting this whole garden. But here's the licorice. This vine that's curling around here
Yeah.
is the licorice plant. It's a vine,
Okay.
so you take the root from down. It's in here somewhere,
Yeah.
but it's very,
Wow.
very strong. So the one you chew is only a very small percent. If you took this, it's very, very strong.
Wow.
But really good for blood pressure. You can raise your blood pressure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my mom cannot have licorice anymore because
so-
we realized that her blood pressure was too
Too
high.
high. So you want to
So you
drink
stop.
nettle tea.
Nettle.
Yeah, nettle leaf. You know.
We
you
eat a
can
lot.
buy it.
We
yeah.
make. We actually grow wild in our hometown.
So
we make
make a
soup.
tea, dry it, and make a tea, and it will lower your blood pressure.
How many times a week do you give water?
For here,
Yeah.
depending on what season, because we have couple of times in the year when it's rainier, but we generally get rain every couple of weeks. And in the big garden, they water every day or every couple of days for the little plants. But when they get to size like this, every few days. So we've got quite a bit of land and sheep and ducks and chickens. Well, there are no ducks anymore.
No.
We had to get rid of them. Yeah, they crossbred, so they were eating our slugs and snails as well as our seedlings. So Muscovy will eat greens eaters, and your Indian runner will eat slugs and snails primarily, bugs and things. So you can use them to control the bugs in your garden.
Yeah.
Horseradish. I planted it a couple of years ago, and
How long have you been here?
in this little garden to try and control it, and it's crawling out of the garden.
Yeah.
It'll,
We make pasta with this.
Yeah, borage.
My grandma, she makes in stuff dumpling.
We use these in the salad and on the salad, and on little things on the desserts and stuff. The girls love it.
Tristan, I can ask you many questions. Anytime you have
Yeah.
to go, you just let me
No,
know.
no,
huh?
just ask questions if you like.
So, you're collecting water here?
Yes, that's all rainwater, and we drink that as well.
Okay.
So that's filtered 3 times with successively smaller filter, and then it gets ozone treated with a UV light.
Okay.
So we have it flows past a light that produces ozone because it's so powerful. Yeah, it's a particular UV spectrum.
Yeah,
and
I
the
s-
ozone will kill all the bugs.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw it because I want to build a biopool. So I went to close to Venice that are making this kind of biopool. But in that case, I think they kill everything. So it was not. I start to think of if it's good or bad. But when it comes also to water, for example, I think villages they use chlorine still.
Yeah, see,
And-
that's the alternative we
And
face with.
And my cousin is young, he's 24, and is part of the the community that is handling water, and try to tell them, why don't you change to this? And they are old-minded and they don't understand that. So I think you have to be patient, and one day
Yep.
it will
Yep.
change by itself.
Yeah. Well, when they realise they don't have to put anything in, after you put it in, it costs nothing.
Yeah,
You change the light bulb once every couple of years, and
yeah,
that's it. Compared to the ongoing maintenance and someone keeping up the chlorine and purchasing the chlorine and stuff, and the health side effects,
yeah,
let alone, yeah.
that's true.
Just people have to come to the change themselves.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, I can say you have to change, blah, 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 but it's not until you go, oh, I have to change. That's not good for me. You know?
And for the other.
That's when people go, oh yeah, that's the only way people change. You can't force it.
No. You have to a little bit follow the flow.
Sticks, leaves, all of the stuff you rake up, grass clippings from mowing the lawn over here.
Behind.
Yeah, just there. It's one of the gardens. Come and have a look. So, this sort of weed is called convolvulus.
Convolvulus.
Yeah, it goes everywhere. So we pull it out
Yes.
and just drop it in a pile and it dies because it's in the sun straight away. So, and then if you took that straight away and put it in the compost,
It will
keeps
grow.
growing.
Okay.
Really well.
Yes, now I understand.
So everything.
So here you are
All
from
dirt, stones, leaves, weeds, grass, logs.
Yes.
And in 5 years, it'll be about this high.
And it will be
And
super
it'll be black and full of worms and beautiful soil.
yeah.
And we've taken stuff from everybody else and made this, and then they wonder, how's your veggie garden so nice? How come your veggies are everything's green? It's like, thanks.
It's true.
Thanks for the compost.
I watched a man in US and I was impressed. He has like maybe 500 chicken.
Yeah.
And he started to collect from any kind of bar and restaurants all the leftover food.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much time you take and how did he do that, but he created a second business out of compost.
Yeah.
And he make like a black garlic fermented under the
fermented
compost.
garlic. Oh, nice.
And he has
Constant temperature.
I don't know how many hills of compost. And it was just like, I want to know, like another
He needs
things
to
I
sell
start
it.
to learn, and he start to sell it. So he doesn't give any more food to the chicken, so he doesn't have to buy any more during the year. It's nature.
Yeah.
I created
growing
another
it.
business so he can sell it, and it was impressive. It was really impressive.
Nice. The chickens would go through your compost, adding a really high, rich manure. If you could let them go through the compost and dig it up. So their droppings are really urea rich, so nitrogen. So that's growing. Compost sort of lacks that a little bit in the breakdown of it. So you add nitrogen by letting your chickens work it over and turn your compost. So you don't need to feed them anymore. You're still getting eggs for free. In the compost you can grow food for them as well. So it makes sense to close the circle.
Yeah.
So what they produce, what you've collected, the compost, goes back again into chickens and eggs, and that results in you getting more food, and you know, you're closing the loop. You're not having to bring anything from outside.
Yes.
And if you bring anything from outside, it's more nutrients for the garden. You bring them in and put it into your garden, so you add a little bit more, like seaweed from the beach or all your grass clippings.
Okay.
So permaculture is about sustaining the circle. It sustains itself. So the chickens, the fruit trees, the vegetables, all the weeds, the bugs, everything, the trees, it all becomes a big loop around. All of the animals, not just chickens, sheep and ducks and everything. So it's like nature itself is a closed ecosystem because it's on this planet. It's closed. We have nothing coming in.
No.
So we need to keep it the way it is, the same or better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than fighting and try to change something that is not going to change. It's true.
Taking away from it all the time, it just depletes it again and again, and we're left with nothing. So our kids and their kids, what's it going to be like if ours is like this now, and we've got a plastic island the size of Texas in the Gulf of Mexico? You know, more plastic in the ocean than fish by 25. We've really got to do something about it now. And this is even just showing us the way by itself. All we have to do is imitate what's in front of us. The example has been set. The loop's already closed. We've got to try and sustain it. you know. Otherwise, we're not here,
Yeah.
you know.
It's true.
Life is about 4 million years, so give or take a few, if they don't wipe themselves out. So yeah, from when the species comes in to when it leaves, generally we only get about 4 million years to play. So let's make it good.
Yeah.
Try and make it longer. But yeah, definitely it's a good system.
It's a very good system.
Yeah.
My idea was I want to recycle water and reuse it in the orchard.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
Recycling your water, that's
Everything.
your shower, hand basin, stuff like that.
I think also
Yeah.
black water is
And
possible.
you can, yes. Yeah, the right filters, the pond. You know, biomass breaks down in the water, goes to the bottom. The water you filter off, it settles, and then you go into plants, earth filter, and then from earth filter to a pond filter with the fish, or sand, and then the fish filter, and then from the pond overflow into your gardens. So you've got a whole system beforehand, and it goes to the tank to break down, to another tank to settle, into your garden filter, into your just plants and sand and stuff, into the next one, into the next one. Yeah. So four or five before your fish.
You know the house when you flush, everything go inside it? What is called?
Septic tank.
Okay, so it didn't have that,
Yep.
and by law,
Yep.
they didn't build it. They
Yep.
use plants
Yep.
to
Yep.
clean the water of the house. So I think I can ask him to help me to do that.
Yes, ask him.
I
Yes,
think
yes.
he knows.
Yeah. Your number twos.
Yes.
Get
Also
a
that one.
composting toilet.
Yeah.
So
That
you
is
can
too
get
far
them-
from my dad.
Yeah.
I before I arrive there, I think it will take a little bit more time. And,
Yeah.
I think
It works really well though.
Yeah.
And you dig a trench around your fruit trees, just on the drip line where the water comes from the leaves, outside the tree.
Okay, so you
The tree.
yes, and the leaf.
This is the drip
Yes.
line. So you dig a trench
Yes.
all the way around,
Yes.
and you have sawdust, fresh.
What is that?
It's
just cut.
just cut, and you have that there, and your composting toilet
Yes.
goes in the trench,
Okay.
and you
around.
slowly fill it up all the way around. So one tree might take you a year to fill up the trench,
And you cover it with something
and
or
then fresh sawdust.
on top.
Yes, new. So then on top, and then the dirt. Doop, doop, doop. And your tree goes, ooh, boom! And you get big fruit and yeah. John Warmahoven in the Coromandel, right up in the Mahana community, you need to go up there and see his fruit. He's got a whole hillside like that, just done this way. So many different tropical fruits. He gets whole busloads of people coming to see his garden. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
And he's been doing it that way for years.
Where is this place? Here in New Zealand?
Yes, in the Coromandel in the North Island.
Okay.
Yeah, right up the top. I can show you on a map.
I will come back there.
It's a very nice place to visit and camp, or there's a couple of places to stay. But yeah, beautiful.
And now we are going to see the banana trees and coconut tree and many more things. Let's go.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
The big one here, it's a miniature Ecuadorian coconut. I'm sweating, it's so hot.
It's very
You wouldn't
hot.
believe it's so tropical.
Yeah.
And there's the ginkgo biloba. It's a lot of people will recognize that name if you have it in your yogurt or as a supplement, or in a pill for your brain. Clear thinking and growth of new cells. And yeah, these little coconuts, they'll get this big, and you break them open, take the shell. It's like a coconut, a little miniature coconut, so cute. You take that open and it's about that thick, it's really hard to open. And inside is a piece of coconut itself that you can eat, about the size of a macadamia.
Wow.
Nut. It's only little but tastes very nice. Exactly like coconut. So if the little one will go here, I'm trying to get the big one into New Zealand and be able to grow. Be amazing.
I think so.
Yeah. I think they'll grow. There's another one there that's a bit younger. It's about to happen.
So how old is this plant?
In total, I would think it'd be about 18, but it's been
Wow.
planted here for about 12 years. So it's not really very old for the size of it. This one might be 8, or it planted here maybe 8 or 10 years and only be about 12.
And it's not producing yet?
Not yet. No.
So it takes a
It
lot.
gets to a certain size and it'll start to flower like this one. It's purely just a flower and the seed. The coconut's its seed. It has to soak in salt water for a couple of weeks to actually be able to germinate, and very hard to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Banana! Soak our water from the house. So there's a big trench in the ground that's full of really big rocks, and they've been planted on top of it. So they were planted about here,
Yeah.
this much, and it's slowly working its way down the line, which was a big trench in the ground
Okay.
about this deep, and now it's full of big boulders and pipes for the water to go into from the house. So it's going to feed the bananas as much water as they want.
So because they need a lot of water.
Yes. Yep. And then I take a lot of the grass cuttings and the weeds and things, trim, and put it in there as well, and feed around them. Because they're a very, very heavy feeder to produce bananas.
Okay.
Then we'll get the flower, comes out from the centre. It'll pop out of here.
Yes.
It's got a big
And
flower on
after
it. Yeah. So once you get the banana, see the bananas starting to set, you wait for the little set. They're just little, the leaves are starting to fall off the flower, snap the flower off and put a bag over there, a blue bag over the stem, and keep the banana, keep it warm, and hopefully you'll, bit of an experiment this year, because now it's big enough to actually produce. It's got enough energy. The plant, I think itself, has to be a certain mass to suck in enough water to produce your banana. So when you look at a tree, this, what you see here above the ground, is under the ground. So
Yes.
even further, so out here will be the roots, and they'll be just about a copy of what these are
Outside.
above the ground. So underneath is the same amount, or very close, of spread out.
So do you, for example, your fruit tree, do you prune them?
Yes, for their own good, and
Okay.
to produce a better fruit. But that's it. And they get fertilised.
Okay. Because, for example, I watched this man, and I remember when I was a child, my cousin used to produce cherries.
Yep.
And he says, I tied the branches, and I was a child, so you tie the branches of a cherry trees, and then I start to realize when I saw this man in this orchard that it ties the branches and the plants start to produce. So it's possible also not to...
You can prune them into that shape, but he would tie them up and control them so they don't just go anywhere.
Okay.
Makes it easy to harvest the fruit, but also supports the limb with so much fruit.
Okay.
Because that can be the tree's own downfall, as it produces so much it breaks its own limbs and will kill itself.
Because I was only, like scared, I think it depends, but the first time I went to visit a tree farm, they were under the region of my region, so they have to use pesticide. They cannot sell any kind of plant to public or company, because by law they cannot if they have any disease.
Yep.
But what I discovered is it started to tell me all the things that normal people do, and I was just shocked. And it says when you prune, you can choose to prune like in winter or in summer, but after you have to treat the plants, because it's like you are curing a cut. And the pesticide they were using is basically go inside the lymphatic system of the plant
Yes.
to cure all the cut. That's why I thought maybe we don't have to prune, or it's danger, or it's bad for the trees.
You don't have to treat. I can show you on our feijoas.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to have a look?
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple of examples of good pruning and bad pruning.
But you need to know how to prune.
Yeah. You're better off going to lesson, to learn
Yeah.
from a school.
Because my
Someone who
father
knows.
told me, Gaia, pruning is not anyone. If you prune wrongly, the plant doesn't produce anymore.
Yeah, or they'll produce very small, or none, or they'll die. Yeah. This is a pretty good example of a quince. It's been pruned as an umbrella, so
Yeah.
you can get under here and pick
Yeah.
the fruit.
Yeah.
And it's not way out here. These ones
Yeah.
are summer growth.
So you will cut when
Yes.
it's
Yeah. At the
autumn.
end of the season, I'll cut them off because they're the ones that have grown after I did the first prune for the summer. Like there are lots and lots of little shoots. I went in and pruned those off and pruned all the ones I wanted to get rid of. And some of these will replace for next year and have fruit.
you will.
Keep them. You bend them down like this.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll use a part of it. See this one here?
Yeah.
I'll
you-
cut it off here.
Yeah.
And this will grow out here,
Yeah.
and I'll have one of these
Yeah.
coming out. So I'm going to replace all of these eventually with new
Okay.
ones. This has been pruned, so this is a new growth. But you see, I've pruned it so the fruit is individual. There's nothing rubbing. They're not crossing over
No.
and rubbing on the fruit.
No.
You've got to prune it for that, to keep your fruit from getting damaged so much it then rots away. So you can do it. I've done it in 3 years. From this tree was just wild, and pruned it, a big prune, but only half of it the first year, and then I waited, and then the third year I did another big prune, like cutting off branches, whole branches like this. So you do it 1 year and then wait for the tree to come recover.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to be careful because you can shock it so much, like cutting off 2 arms instead of 1. Yeah, 2, you're dead, but 1, I'm still alive.
Where do you learn all this?
I learnt from a few different people for pruning, commercially and privately, from lessons, and at a school in Australia. I did
So where do you come from?
New Zealand, from the east coast. Yeah, Oamaru, Hamden, Meraki boulders. Yeah, nice.
And what made you fall in love with permaculture design, or the lifestyle as well behind that?
Well, we always had a garden when we were kids. Dad always grew a garden, and we spent a lot of time in the country. So we grew up with that, having a garden, and then missing that, I think, wanting to get involved with it. And my life has taken me in this direction. Yeah, learning about these things, where I've lived all over the place in New Zealand, different places that have been, living in the Mahana community with no power. It's what you can grow and produce yourself, and the energy you can get, or the water comes from the creek, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, it was a beautiful place to live. The feijoas, we'll have a quick look.
Let's go.
I'll show you.
I can spend all day with you, no problem. You just let us know. I think most of the plants that you see here, they are also growing in Brazil.
Yep.
For
So this
us,
wood,
they don't.
definitely this wood, this is the feijoa. It would love it over there. So you can see the flowers in here now. And you can see some of the fruit is set
Then
as
I
well.
understand. I saw many plants with full of flower on
That's
the way.
Pahudakawa.
It's not this.
No.
It's a,
This is its cousin.
and the
They're
other
in
one
the
is
same
that
family.
called?
Pahudakawa. Yeah, in the same family. So this tiny little fruit underneath. Look at it.
Yeah.
Now that'll get this big and yay round. It'll be huge. Because I did a good prune this year. They're mainly pollinated by birds. The bees have hardly any interest in them. So you need to make it open so the birds can come and land and have its way with the flowers and then leave again. So you have to prune all of these straggly ones because the plant wants to go everywhere and just spread all of these everywhere, and you can't get in there. So you have to come in and just prune all of these excess ones and the ones that are crossing over and rubbing, and it's like giving it a haircut, but just taking some out, not completely cutting it all off.
Yeah.
You're just thinning it out inside here so the birds can get in. And that's the main thing for fijoas, because they tend to get really scraggly, and then your fruit will just disappear, or it'll all be this big.
Okay.
So this is a good prune. It's open. You can get into the centre to get up there and prune and pick the fruit up above and do the pruning. It's open for the birds.
Yeah.
This one is a reasonable pruning, but it's coming back from having a really heavy prune. So I've done a small thinning out, not a big one like that. The thickness, yes, as opposed to that, you can see through that one. It's hard to see through this one when you look at it. Because it had so much taken out from the middle, I've let it recover first. Not done so much pruning, and next year I'll go in and prune out all of these little bits.
So if you have to prune, you prune the big branches or the small one?
I've done that once. If you have to prune, you're taking this small one.
The small one.
Or in some cases it might be better just to take that whole bit.
Away.
And because that then opens up this whole thing in one go. Or take that one,
It's experience.
the bigger one here,
Yeah.
and that
And
opens up this whole area.
Okay.
Just by taking one out, takes out quite a bit, but instead of going clip, 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 just go, oh, look, wang. But generally you're only cutting up to here when you're doing that sort of prune. A heavy prune is cutting a whole branch, taking a whole piece out of it. And
Okay.
that's really hard on the plant. So you let them recover for a year or two after you do big branches. Not even to prune the little ones. Let them get the energy back.
When do you start to prune?
In the winter. So
Yeah,
they
but
don't
the,
leave too
every year, or when the plants, I don't know how much big was this plant when you planted, but if you have...
like these. Oh, they were only little. So basically let it grow. If it's in a certain situation that you need to shape it a little bit.
Because you start to understand that it's growing in a way that you cannot control certain part.
Okay, yeah, you can. Yep.
Okay.
You can, like if I wanted it to be a certain shape, when I put it in, if it was round and I want it square, I would start taking out the branches on all four that I want to square off. And then, or turn it into a triangle, or the shape that you need it to fit in a sense. You can shape it without hurting it. You can do that right from when they're little, when you put them in. It's like if it's got too many branches and it's really getting quite bushy, and you can clean that up and keep the good strong ones that are going in all four directions, or in the tree's case going in every direction. Keep the good healthy ones that are nice and strong, that are lower down and closer to the plant, because the root, the juice, the energy has to come from the roots and come out.
Yeah.
So every year I'll cut back as well as prune out, thin out, because the further away it gets, the further more energy it has to use just to push the energy out to the ends.
Do you also remove certain fruits to have less production but bigger fruits and more tasty? You know what I mean?
And you take that into account when you're pruning, when you're doing the small prune, because these are the fruit bearing.
Okay.
So I can go through and go, okay, I'm going to go a little bit heavier on the haircut, and I'll get less fruit, but it'll be bigger.
Okay.
Or in a lot of cases like this now, we'll leave it because it's so thin. It's going to bush out. Next year I'll come in and do a small prune, and we'll get really good sized fruit. But this year we'll get big fruit, because there's not much fruiting site, branches. This year this one will be middle size, this one will be huge.
What do you plant on the bottom, below the trees? I see you cover with a lot of leaf, but on top are naturally growing, or you decide to plant them?
Nasturtium. It's naturally growing.
You don't remove them, you just leave them.
I compost onto the top of them with the grass clippings and weeds and stuff, and the parts we've cut off,
Yeah.
all of that goes back in around it. So it's feeding itself in a
So
sense.
you're not worried about this because
No,
you
no,
covered them?
not at all. That'll get covered over and turned back into compost.
Okay.
Yeah. Pruning from all of these trees might go onto one, and then next time we prune, all of the pruning will go onto another one. So it's like you're feeding them a major amount every few years, and then you don't have to worry about it. They're getting every nutrient because they're getting the leaf litter, the grass clippings, the branches, everything.
Okay.
The birds come in and dig it all over because it promotes the worm growth and droppings and everything else. I started farming with chemicals and fertilizers and stuff, and it was never like that. They say to farm the alternative way, but what was there before they had the chemicals? Because we never had any of that.
Yeah.
The alternative way was the way we always did it. There was no chemical fertilizer or chemical pesticide or any of that, or herbicides. So how did they do it before that? Companion planting and promoting the growth of bugs that would eat one particular weed, or no, they didn't. They call it alternative farming, but it's not. It's natural farming. It's the way nature's doing it all by itself.
Yeah.
And we just need to copy it. It's already there.
It's true.
Allora ragazzi, cosa ne dite? Siamo o non siamo agricoltori alternativi? Fatemelo sapere nei commenti e diteci anche quello che pensate, perché tutto questo ci può dare una mano a migliorare. Se vi piace quello che stiamo facendo, iscrivetevi sul nostro canale YouTube e molto presto, la prossima settimana, uscirà un altro video. E dopo la Nuova Zelanda abbiamo deciso di fare una serie di video di campagna, perché ci troviamo qua a Giarollo da quando c'è il coronavirus a febbraio, e abbiamo fatto tantissimi video sulla campagna, sulla natura, sugli animali, sul fai da te anche, ci siamo improvvisati muratori o Beethoven. Cosa dire? Un abbraccio da me, un abbraccio dal cameraman e alla prossima settimana. Ciao!